we saw that MultiChoice turned down Canal Plus's bid to acquire them, which we got to know around the like early this month.
Yeah.
It's a $1.6 billion
It's over
acquisition
30
over
billion.
rands.
In rands, yeah, it's over 30 billion. But based on whatever exchange rate you are using, I've seen some people say it's a $2.5 billion bid, while some people are saying it's a $1.7 billion bid.
Yeah, anyway, they turned it down, saying they've been disrespected. That's not their word. But they said Canal Plus actually undervalued them. And there are a lot of things around it. The question on my mind is that were they really undervalued? Were they really undervalued as like these people are? Don't let me just go into it. But Chigos, can you just like go into, if you want to make an educated guess, were they really undervalued?
Okay, so valuation is not exactly a science. Maybe for a company like MultiChoice, it is kind of a science because they're a publicly traded company. But Canal Plus is making an offer that is valuing MultiChoice at, let's say, more than they currently are trading.
The stock market.
Yeah, in the stock market. So were they undervalued? If they feel they were undervalued, maybe they were undervalued. Canal Plus is an existing investor, so they already know the state of MultiChoice. I mean, if I'm looking at it from their end, if I'm making an investment this huge, then I believe in the potential of the market, right? And that is probably what MultiChoice is playing with or playing on when they say we are undervalued, because yes, you own 35% of us, but you want more. If you want more, well, pay more to get more of us. So it's basically a dance or a game at this point. You've made your first bid. I'll respond. I don't know if you watch football and you follow football transfers, things like this happen a lot. So a club says, "Oh, my guy is valued at. We value this guy at $150 million, million pounds," and then the club that is buying says, "No, you're not. We don't value you at this. You do 100," and then they now go back and forth, and maybe in the end they do 100, or with some staggered payments that maybe come close to 150, but in reality would never be 150. So, sorry, I'm using football analogy, but I think that could be something that happens here. Canal Plus will probably respond with a higher offer or a slightly higher offer, and then you see how it goes.
So the valuation apart, because it's like you're playing to the party that this was actually a good offer, like that MultiChoice should have taken.
Okay.
I'm
not saying they should. I'm not saying they should take it. I'm just saying I feel it's a decent offer. Doesn't mean it's the best. So we don't know if there's another person that is interested in acquiring MultiChoice right now. If there's someone else, but the tone right now looks like MultiChoice is willing to sell, which kind of looks good for a Canal Plus that wants to acquire. MultiChoice wants to sell. If they want to sell, then it makes it a lot more easy for you. If they don't want to sell, that's where you have some difficulties. But now they're telling you, look, your bid is not up to what we expect or what we want. So it's just you upping your bid. I think it's a decent offer, really. You're giving me more money than I'm currently trading at.
Yeah, but we know that MultiChoice is huge, big in the South African market, and a French company coming to acquire them. I think valuation apart, are you positive? Like, okay, if you want to, yeah, it's positive. Are you positive that this would even go through, given how SA is with foreign companies owning their companies? Bolu?
Yeah, very, very valid question. And a lot of people have actually I think that's one area a lot of people have been focusing on, right? Because if you look at the Electronic Communications Act, right, in South Africa, it limits South African broadcasters like foreign ownership to 20%. So if you're a foreign owner and you want to own a broadcasting company in South Africa, you can't own more than 20% in terms of voting rights, right? Your economic stake can be more. So Canal Plus, like Tim Gozim said, they are already an investor in the company. They own 30%. But that 30% does not translate, it's not equivalent to the voting rights they have. So they have lower voting rights, right? So based on this, you can see that there is going to be a lot of regulatory hoops to go through if they actually want this deal to pull through. And we've seen that when regulators do not want something to happen, it won't happen. Like we saw that with
Microsoft.
Adobe and Figma, right? That
Yeah.
deal did not go through,
Yeah.
which for some reason I'm happy. Yes, because we know Adobe and how they are. Figma is a breath of fresh air,
Focus.
right? So we saw what regulators in the EU also did to Microsoft when they tried to get Activision. So South Africa is also really big on not allowing foreign owners, right, to infiltrate their company.
You say that infiltrate.
That's one way. That's one way to
So
look at it.
apart from
It's
foreign
not been
ownership, is MultiChoice already like operates like something that's similar to a monopoly?
Yes, exactly. That's another point to look at.
Okay, so
What-
wait.
Mm.
Monopoly where? That's one question. Because they have other businesses, right? And the biggest problem you have is in South Africa. And the way I'm seeing it is, if you woke up one morning and made this bid, you've thought through the potential loopholes that are there. There could be something that they are hoping would help.
There is
this
actually.
go.
Where they
And
can
for
exploit.
MultiChoice too to say we are undervalued, there's probably something that they want to do. So, but to the question of whether they're a monopoly, yes, a monopoly in South Africa, but on the rest of the African continent, they are still competing with Netflix. Yes, Showmax does
No.
have
No, those are
Like this, I'm talking about
SVODs.
pay TV now.
pay TV.
When it comes to pay TV, they're
but
a
that's
monopoly
not-
even in Nigeria.
Yeah, but that's
Can you watch Premier League without DSTV?
without the SCV. Don't worry. Let's not answer that
Yeah,
question.
actually. So even in the markets that they are in,
Yeah.
they are a monopoly because think about it. Nigeria and South Africa. I'm not sure if Nigeria is one of their top 3
Yeah.
markets also.
Who else will be the top
Okay,
three? We beat
so-
them yesterday.
If you look at South Africa, look at Nigeria, top markets. Who is competing with them in those markets in pay TV? Nobody comes to
But they even
mind.
have low budget and high budget. DSTV and Go TV.
Nobody comes to
Under
mind.
MultiChoice.
Exactly.
Nobody comes to mind. So Canal Plus injecting
Another one.
billions of dollars into that company makes them even stronger. Something broadcasting regulators are trying to control already. But then Chingosim said something that made me remember. He said Canal Plus is probably looking at something that will make this go through. And there's actually a proposed legislation that wants to increase foreign ownership from that 20% to 49%. Right. So Canal Plus is probably banking on the fact that legislation will pull through. I'm sure. I mean, it's a very big company. It's not their first rodeo when it comes to acquisitions. So they have a lot of lawyers. They have a lot of who are these people that lobbyists.
I mean, and then for something like this,
That will
it's not
push
going
that
to
for
happen
that.
in 3 months.
That is
So
another thing.
you're hoping that
it's going
even
to be a
with-
long play.
Yeah.
And say valuation is still
Agreed.
a ordo. Say the legislation is still a ordo. I heard Canal Plus is known for its hostile takeovers.
Yes.
You can't do hostile takeover in this case because the
Can't.
regulator. Yes, you're basically fighting two people. You're fighting the company you want to take over. You're fighting the regulator. You will not win if you fight with the regulator. That one is.
So
certain.
just to look for a loophole to exploit.
You will. Well, I don't know how you want to do it though. But a regulator that was already looking at the person you wanted to, or you want to
Mark
acquire.
on its back.
I don't know how you want to do it. You're your own. It's going to be hard for them to actually do it without the legislation is talking about being
And-
true.
Yeah.
And that won't go through for another, even a year, sef.
Or
Okay.
more. Really? Why?
That is what some experts are thinking because it has actually been on the table for a long time.
For a long
I
time.
see.
So it's a play of time. We'll see how this we go, and we keep you abreast of any updates we find on this news. To listen to the full conversation, go to podcast.techpoint.africa. podcast.techpoint.africa. Here's the link. You can click on that or go to Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcast and search for Techpoint Africa Podcast.